Well, I'm back. It's the next day. I only have a little bit before I have a doctor's appointment, so I'm gonna get reassembled on the passenger side, whatever I can get done until the stopping point. Probably won't be much, but then as soon as I get back, I'm gonna continue on this. So I tried doing some research trying to find out what torque spec to put the backer plate at, and the only thing I could find is it ranges anywhere from 100 to 120 for these 4 nuts. One thing that I wish I knew years ago was you can buy, for this particular truck, this whole setup already assembled. When I did my other F350, I actually had to assemble the entire thing on the truck, and it was not easy. And there's the 4 bolts, the 4 nuts. This is what your emergency brake cable goes into right there and hooks onto this. You want to be very careful not to mar this up any more than, well, it shouldn't be marred up to begin with. But you can see these bearings probably rode hot. That's unless they heat treated them. But all right, so let's see if I can assemble this now. First, does it fit? Okay, it fits. So I think to make my life easier, I'm gonna assemble, at least put the clip on behind here. I'm going to try to hook this onto that little foot. Okay, found the secret. This does not fit if you just hook it and put it this way. You actually have to put it on this way. It's actually wider this way. I knew it had to be a secret because it wasn't going on easily. Not saying it's going to go on easily either this way, but we're going to try. Yep, that's it. That made it easy. So turn it this way so it goes on sideways, and then slide it up and it goes in. Now I got to put this spring in the holder, and for that I think that's gonna have to be like that. Let me see if I could do this again. Hold on a second here. All right. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. I'm not gonna take a chance on knocking any of this off. I'll try to remember to show you on the other side. I need a spring collapser. So close, yet so far. The groove is only big enough to get the cable through, not the spring or this bracket. And this bracket, it's got to come in from this side. So you got to collapse the spring that way. You got to push the spring that way, and then this cable would go on there. Holy cow. Oh, if I had one more hand, that would have gotten it. All right, let me think of something. Why is it not fitting the hole now? There it is. Woo! Here's some of that plastic coating that's on the emergency brake cable. All right, so that's on, it's in. Whew, that should be the tough part. Now I can put the back one on. Let's tighten these up. So this is actually what holds your caliper on too, so you really want these in good condition. So I got this set at, I think, 120. Yeah. I couldn't find anything on line better, so it's the only number I could find. So they're going to be 120. Step one done. Doesn't that look so much better? And here we go. This is what I was telling you. I'll try to show you on the other one. You can't just slide this over the top here and on. It's actually got to come from a 90-degree angle to this. So it's basically you got to come down and then twist it on there and it fits. And then trying to get the spring over here, then you got to collapse the spring, pull the cable far enough back, because this metal coupling here goes through all the way to there. So you got to pull that metal coupling all the way past here, slide the cable through, and then it slides right in there, if that makes sense. I'll try to show you on the other one before I try to assemble it. All right, well, the next thing is I got to put that hub on that rotor. And there are 8 bolts, and they are 15 millimeter. And let's see, rotor to hub, it says, I looked up and I got 114 foot-pounds. With blue Loctite. So here's my Loctite. And you're going to tighten them in a cross pattern like you do lug nuts, star pattern. So I have some wheel bearing grease that I'm gonna lather up in here, repack that bearing as best I can, with it on the shaft there. I don't feel any grip. So I'm hoping I was successful sandblasting it and not getting anything in there. And then I'm gonna put some grease on here because I don't want to put this on dry. And then it's a matter of putting it on and off. We gotta adjust this parking brake also. Gotta adjust the shoes out. Before I do that, before I put gloves on, let me see what direction I these have to turn. Oh, I should go get my adjusting tool. I always forget, number one, that I have this. Number two, what direction to turn it in. And on the back side, there's a rubber boot that if you pop out, you adjust it from back here. And I didn't bring needle nose to get it out from the back side, so I'm gonna have to try to push it out here. When you go to put this back, you really got to make sure you put this in all the way. Otherwise, this whole area will fill up with dirt. Let me get the adjustment close before I grease everything up. How's that sound? Because this is heavy and I know it's going to be a pain in the butt. And then I'll take it off. Definitely not doing this sitting down. I at least want to get it close. I gotta figure out which way to turn that now. And basically, it clicks. So I'm not sure if you click up or click down. In my video for my 2001, when I did this on a 2001, I think I clearly explained which way to do it. We're gonna find out. Let's see. Okay, so to expand your brakes, this star, which is on the back shoe, which would be the female of the nut basically, and the male bolt is on this side, you're gonna turn this down. So inside you're taking it and you're knocking this sprocket down, if that makes sense. Because if you go up, you're going to make it smaller. So you want to go down. That makes sense? I hope you can kind of see in there. You know what? I'll put the camera right in there so you can see it. And it'll help me out. And that's this side. I am not sure on the other side, the direction. We'll deal with that one when we get there. So obviously this, you can see this with the drum off. And if I take the tool from the back side, I'm putting the tool in. Can you see that in there? See the tool? And I am doing that. If you watch this gap is getting bigger and bigger. If I go this other way, this is getting smaller and smaller. So we want to go this way, and it is expanding this section here bigger which is expanding your brake pads. You follow? You understand? So go this way to make it smaller, this way to make it bigger. And we got to do that with the drum on until we just feel a little restriction, and we back it off. Do you remember that? I have to remember that. So it was down. Okay. Okay. We put the drum on. Got to make sure it's all the way in. I'm just trying to get it close because I know it's way off right now. You make it too tight, you won't be able to get it on and off. All right, so now I'm getting friction. So I'm gonna stop there. All right, I'm gonna stop there because I know I got it a little bit closer. I'm gonna grease everything up, put this all on, and then when it's all together, I'll fine tune it. You can see the wear mark on the pad now on both sides. There's a little bit of marking, meaning I was actually touching it, so that's good. All right, so I'm gonna put some gloves on. I'm gonna put some grease on here, and it's wheel bearing grease. It's high temperature wheel bearing grease, the red stuff, so nothing goes together dry. And then I'm gonna work on the bearings. And according to my notes, let's see, 70 foot-pounds. Gonna tighten it to 70 foot-pounds. Gonna back it up a quarter turn the whole time spinning it, and then retighten it to 18 foot-pounds. That's what I found online. Try to get this thing started now. Starting? Oh. All right, let me set the torque wrench up and we'll try it. Want to remind you, I am not a professional mechanic. I'm a backyard mechanic. I do the best research I can before I put it in a video, before I even put it on my vehicles. So do your own research. All right, that's set at 70. All right, that's 70. And then it says back it off a quarter turn. So that's going to be from here to up there. Okay. Spin it a bunch. And then tighten it to 18. My torque wrench isn't working right now. That's no good. I gotta buy a new torque wrench. I want a digital one. See, that should be clicking. And it's not. All right, so I'm gonna buy a torque wrench before I tighten this up, because I am not gonna blow out the rear end just because of a broken torque wrench. So let's get this, because 18 is not a lot, and that was a lot I was putting on there. Yeah. So let's get this back to 70. So that's 70. You know, it might be more than 70. Let me back it all the way off. Okay. Go to 70. Okay. Back it off a quarter turn. It'll be 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Spin it. And then drop it down to 17. It should be right there. I can't get this to click. It won't click any at that low number. So I'm gonna leave this like this. I'm gonna go get ready for my appointment. This side's pretty much assembled, except for torquing this. I'll buy a new torque wrench on the way home, adjust the parking brake, put the brakes on. That's all easy stuff. Actually, let me check the time. I might have time to do some of the brake stuff. If my torque wrench isn't working, I'm not getting an accurate reading. I'm not even gonna do the brake caliper brackets or the calipers or anything like that. So I'm just gonna get ready to go to my appointment. I'll pick up a new torque wrench, and we'll go from there. I drive by Harbor Freight, so I'll see what they have. Well, I hope it's worth it. I didn't have a coupon. So I got the new one. I set it at 70. says 70 pounds, back it off a quarter turn, and then go back to 18 pounds. So here we go. Uh-oh. How if I turn it on? Oh, wait a minute here. Hold on. Okay, let's try this again. I have it set at 70. All right, that's 70 right there. Quarter turn. Okay. Then it says 18. Now, I don't remember where I found those numbers. They were somewhere online. All right, there's 18. It's 18 right there. That would be about right, if I remember correctly how I used to do them. Okay. So the next step, let's do the emergency brake before I junk it all up with the caliper and stuff. And then we'll do the axle last. So I'm just gonna go underneath and let me see if I remember. It's been a couple hours. And I'll turn the star with the tool, and you gotta make sure you put this in. Let me get needle nose while I'm still standing. To show you how little mileage was on this truck when the guy parked it after he did all the work to it. This is the old brake pad. The fronts were the exact same. There's actually more brake material on here than the brand new ones that I'm putting on. Look at that. But I'm not reusing these because they're old. They've been sitting there and I ordered these, so we're gonna do it with new ones. So I got some caliper grease. Take these off, clean these. And they're not bad. But we're gonna put a little bit of new grease on there. Make sure the boots are good. I hope the boots are good because I didn't buy any. From what I found online, these bolts that hold the caliper bracket on go up to 200 foot-pounds. That's a lot. .21 millimeter. Caliper. I'm gonna take an old pad and collapse it in.
Okay, all 4 pads are the same. Wait a minute, I gotta see if there's differences in these clips. Okay, there are differences. Let's take this one back off. Let's check these clips out. So I'm looking at the big tab here and here, they're different. Okay, so let's see if I can make this make sense. This pad is from the back, and this is how the clips are. So you can see it's off-centered. This side's bigger, and it's on the back side. This side is bigger, it's on the back side. So as long as you put the clips on, so this big tab is toward the back of the truck, it should be good, I guess. I'm just going by how they had it. So this one's good. So if the pad's like that, oop. All right, so this one should be the top, because that big tab's facing the back of the truck, I guess. Big tab facing the back of the truck. Let's see if it goes on. Yep, so far so good. I don't have the torque specs for the caliper. $17mm. I'm just gonna tighten these to feel. I'm not gonna go crazy with it, because these, I don't think it's much. It's probably like 20, 25, but don't quote me on that. Okay. Brakes are done. Brake pads look good. Those little springs look good. Okay. Let's put the axle back in. And then we got to put all the bolts in. Axle to hub, 98 pounds. Well guys, 3 days later, 4 days later, and the rear is done. The rear passenger side is done. Everything's assembled. I think it was 5 days maybe since originally starting the back with parts and waiting and time schedule.
So I still got to adjust emergency brake. I'm not going to do that until the other side is done. And I'm going to jump over here real quick and dismantle this one. This is the other side. I was able to paint this caliper, but I still got to sandblast all this. So I'm going to try sandblasting the hub before I take it off. And worst case scenario, I build this side tomorrow. Truck's not going anywhere. So, but for right now, I'm going to pick up all the tools, put everything in the garage so no sand gets everywhere. And we'll go from there. I like that new torque wrench though. Well, one thing that took the long time on this one was deciding what to do and when to sandblast, if to sandblast. Well, it's done and everything's picked up now, so I can start. It looks so much better. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Actually looks like that might work. All right, so I'm gonna get started on this one. I'm gonna sandblast is what I'm gonna do. And like I said, it's gonna be a lot easier because I don't have to worry about taping up all the O-rings or the gaskets or the bearings or anything. This is all I'm sandblasting from here to here. And we'll go from there. So I'm gonna get started. I even got my garage door right here closed because it goes everywhere. And once I'm all done, I'll take the backpack blower, I'll blow off this entire area so I'm not working in any rust. And then we'll see if I have time to take it apart today. But here's before. Definitely doing this caliper bracket. And the only problem is I can't turn. Oh, it's in park. Let me get the keys. I'll put it in neutral before I start, and hopefully I'll be able to rotate that by hand. That emergency brake is all jammed up too, so I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to get to that. But otherwise I'll just blast it upside down.
All right, guys, I got sand in places I've never had sand before. So I'm gonna throw a light coat of paint on this. I'm gonna leave this together, and I'm gonna throw a light coat of paint on this. I don't want to leave it open overnight, and I got a shower. I got sand in crevices I didn't know I even had, and it's getting late, so I'm not gonna have time to do the whole thing. So I'm gonna put a coat of paint on this so it doesn't rust, and put a coat of paint on the caliper bracket. At least that way a base coat will be on these things, and like I could do the caliper bracket a couple coats today, and then I can actually install it tomorrow, and then I could just put another coat on the hub once it's installed. Kind of sucks though, because my scrap metal guy's coming tomorrow to grab all my scrap metal. I got a huge pile back there of scrap metal, but I'll get stuck with a one brake drum. So unless I get out here early enough or he's late. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna continue this tomorrow, guys. I'm gonna throw a coat of paint on this, and oh, and if you're wondering why I was I sandblasted a valve cover for a Honda. Well, the Honda CRV, I think it's a 2005 or 2006 Honda CRV. It's in the garage, right behind me. Okay, I'm not doing a video on it, but it has a bad cam. It's a variable lobe cam shaft, and it needs a new bearing gear on the camshaft. So it's a variable cam. I don't know what it does, but anyways, we're replacing that, and I'm not videoing that because that's another 2-week project by the time we get the parts in and stuff like that. So we would have to clean. He wanted to clean up the valve cover, so I told him I'd sandblast it. He tried in a bead blaster, but it was taking too long, so I just hit it off with a sandblaster here real quick. All right, I will see you tomorrow, and I will hopefully get this truck on driving tomorrow. Hey, good morning, guys. All right, I got about 2 hours, I'd say maximum. I'm gonna yank this one apart and get this side together quick as I can, or as much as I can. Uh-oh. Wow. He's low. Haven't seen him playing that low for a while. All right, anyways, I'm gonna take this side apart. So when you order these, guys, you got to make sure you order One for the driver's side, one for the passenger side, because they are different. And double check. And one of the questions is the rotor in the front side of the wheel or the back side of the wheel? I guess that's one thing they asked. There we go. So let me show you this. If you notice, this opening is, I don't have a pointer. It's wider going from side to side than top to bottom. So what you have to do is, with that bar, you have to put it on sideways and then twist it so it goes, when it's in place, it's front to back. Let me see if I can show you before I put this on. So I should be in camera. But see, it won't go on this way because it won't fit. But if you turn it, let me see, it's gonna be, if you turn it so it is vertical, like that is how I put the other one on, so it's sideways, and then it should slide on. It's kind of hard to do with it moving, but that's how the other side works. So I'm hoping that's how this side works. Put it on and then twist it straight. And then the other thing is, this is that spring I was telling you about. That's a pain in the butt. In that bracket, in that piece right there, that clip. And I know they make a tool for it. I just don't have it. So I'm going to put this on first, and then I'll deal with getting the spring on. But I'm going to probably bolt this on first a little bit. Yep, went right on like that. So I came in and laid it down. I came in, put it over it, and then I just laid it in place. Now let's see if I can get this spring in place, this cable. I got it. Holy cow.
Where'd you put the head?
Valve cover right behind you. Over there. All right, that's in. So let me tighten these up. Well, I never thought this part would come, but it's done. It's all together, driver side and passenger side. Those are just extra bolts. Don't worry about those. Nah, those are the lug nuts. So you can see the parking brake cable is right there. The only thing I'm going to do now is bleed the brakes. And I already adjusted a parking brake. So it is literally just putting my vacuum bleeder on here and sucking some clean brake fluid through. So I am not going to show that because there's other videos I have of how to bleed brakes with a vacuum bleeder, and this video is really long. This is over almost 2 weeks in the length. All right, I'll be right back. Well, guys, that took a lot longer than expected to bleed the brakes. The driver's side brake bleeder, let's see, can you see it? Was stripped and seized in there. So it ended up taking about 20 minutes to get it out with heat. And then I had to go to the store and buy a whole, another brake bleeder bolt on the driver's side. But they're both done. I bled the whole reservoir quantity, that amount, through the whole rear system now. So the front's been bled, the rear's been bled. And I readjusted the emergency brake. So we are good to go. I am going to put the tires on, and then I'll put the shocks on probably another day. Actually, I forgot a very important part. I lost some rear end fluid. So before I actually put the tires on, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna top it off with 75 140, and it says good for limited slip, full synthetic. That way I don't need the additive. As long as it says limited slip on the bag, supposedly you don't need to add the additive. Plus there wasn't that much that I lost, but I don't know how much was in there to begin with. So I'm gonna go down there, top off the rear end, and then I'll put the tires on.
Well, I'm ending this video here, guys. The rear end is done. The brakes, I think I still got to bleed that front brake. So I'm gonna bleed the brakes tomorrow and throw the new shocks on. I'm gonna really give they're still kind of spongy. Everything seems to be working fine, brake wise and stuff like that. I want to readjust the parking brake. You got to roll it to get it all the pads centered and stuff like that, and then you could fine tune it. So it's holding, but not holding strong enough like I want. So I'm gonna put a couple cranks on both sides tomorrow when I do the shocks probably. And still got a misfire and low turbo and air temperature. It's the code was P0299 and P2199. I got both those codes, so I still got to figure that out. But as you see, I could drive up the driveway, up and down the driveway, and it seems to, I think I got it into second gear just right there. So I'm gonna bleed the brakes, do the shocks, and still work on the codes before I send it off to have the bed made. I'm not having the bed made until this truck, the engine is done. Like I said, I got to put the shocks on. I got to order an exhaust, stuff like that. So, all right, well, see you in the next video, guys. Sorry this one's so long, but it's a lot. You know, I did the whole emergency brake and did the backing plate, had to yank the axles, all that kind of stuff. So, all right, guys, see you on the next one. Hope this helped you. Hope I put enough content or data, like the torque specs as I was doing it in here as possible. So see you on the next one, guys. Don't forget, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just an at-home mechanic with a lot of broken vehicles. All right, guys, see you on the next video.